Hello everybody, Brad Johnson here. In this video I'm going to be talking more about energy tally-up gates. So when I'm talking about energy tally-up gates, basically what I'm also referring to are threshold crossings. Now, this threshold crossing or tally-up gates basically represent very large shifts in energies, kind of like a culmination effect from what we would understand as equinoxes, solstices, eclipses, the Lion's Gate we had not too long ago, the idea of our monthly full moon cycles, etc. These are all tally-up gates. These all represent the idea of threshold crossings. They are a combination of our energy being built up and helping to unfold ourselves from within to reflect in regards to how we are progressing on our path to genuine nature. Now, the other night I did a Reality Whisperer webcast with special guest Eric Rains, and I got a very strong epiphany download as it relates to us shifting into fourth density. And it was very simplistic looking at it in that way. It's not something that was at all complicated. It was a very simplistic aspect. So the simplicity of it would represent the idea that these threshold crossings are all about our personal gauge into moving ourselves further into fourth density. And again, it's not something that needs to be so heavily esoteric. So I'm going to do my best not to give too much of a heavy esoteric definition about how fourth density is actually going to be coming together and how actually a much more higher percentage of us than originally thought is actually going to cross into fourth density. I am actually feeling that we're going to have probably close to about half the population to move into fourth density. So that's just an estimate as it exists right now. Whereas old estimates were kind of like 0.5% or 5% or 10%, etc. Now, those hold different types of octaves as it relates to the shift. We're basically looking at something that could be anywhere from 40 to 50% of the human race moving into fourth density. It may be even a little bit higher than that as well too. Simply because I've discovered what it takes for us to move into fourth density. So I'm going to try and use analogy in the best way I can here. So pardon me a moment while I'm just doing my excellent art here. So Mr. Stickman here would represent us. And there's another stickman that's just walking along, but he appears to be walking a little bit faster. And then we have a third stickman here, and he's walking a little bit faster. Okay? This is giving the aspect of progress. Now, the progress itself is that the person from behind keeps tripping over their own feet. They go, bleh. They fall down, they trip, and they don't want to get back up. While others are just strolling along nicely. They're just walking along, and they keep going. This person has tripped. They've fallen. Their emotions have become so overwhelming to them that they can't get back up. Emotion is what has caused them to trip. And they're like, oh, maybe they're doing the Peter Griffin thing going, oh, right? Doing that for a very, very long time, they can't get back up. No matter what they do, they feel the emotions have completely taken them over. They're complaining about the emotions, how harsh they are, that I don't deserve this, how could I possibly get all these emotions happening to me, etc., etc. I'm a victim, I'm a victim, I'm a victim. And they basically remain while all of these others are still walking ahead. So, depending upon that person that is so heavily overwhelmed by emotion, where it's basically feeling that their entire world is crumbling before their eyes, and they feel that they are powerless to change themselves. Those would be the people that stay with what they create. They would stay with the idea of remaining in a third density aspect because they are too exhausted. They are too overwhelmed with their own emotion. They feel they are victims of their own emotion. They do not want to get back up. It does not matter if a person wants to reach out their hand and help them. They're like, get away from me. Don't want your help. Get away. Right? They're just on the ground and they're remaining that way. Their emotions are continuing to overflow. They're feeling freaked out. They're going into psychotic shock. And this eventually leads to them transitioning from their physical body, almost in a state of feeling catatonic, going through these severe psychotic shocks because they have felt that emotions have owned them and that they are not bigger than their emotions. Their emotions are now bigger than them. That's the third density crowd. Okay, so that's basically the crowd of third density. Now, as I said, it'll only probably be about 50 or so % that will remain within that particular flux. And so this is the good news. This is what I'm actually seeing right now through this epiphany. Which means this person here in the middle, as we have this person here and behind, so he's done with in focus. This person in the middle, yes, has certain emotional traits flowing through him or her. But he or she is doing quite well. He or she realizes that they have these emotional states, that they're going through a lot of these challenges, but they know that they are able to change themselves. They're starting to see that change is becoming a good friend to them. They realize they've had these hardships, they realize they've had these challenges, but they genuinely know that they want to get past them. They know that there's a life that they are capable of aligning to, that represents their bliss, that represents their genuine nature. And so they want to follow through with this. And so even though they have these particular types of emotions, they're working together. They're working together with the emotions and being able to, at their own pace, start to resolve them in their own way. Maybe that's getting help from others. Maybe that's being able to take up meditation. Maybe that's being able to compliment themselves on a daily basis. And they're starting to come together with them. Now, this is basically what you would refer to as the 51 percenters, as mentioned in the Law of One. Okay, so the Law of One basically stated that if there is a 51% positive aspect, service to self, others, etc., that would be a graduation degree in that way. When we're looking at this person here who has completely collapsed, this is the under 50 percenters. Okay, oops. Use that. Under 50 percenters, or the less than 50 percenters. And they have collapsed on the ground and they don't feel that there's anything they can do. They're done for. And that's their own mentality. We don't want to feel like that person is done for. We want to reach out our hand. We want to help them, but they slap it away. Get away from me. I don't want you to touch me. I don't want you to be near me. Get away. There's nothing we can do, right? We can send them our blessings and all of that, but they're not having it, because basically if you try to send them so much of the energy of love, they're going to take all of that energy that you're sending it and they're going to transform it into misery. They're going to transmute it into their own particular emotional states, right? So really when that person is there, they stay with what they have created. It's a sad thing, but that is what has happened. That's what's happening in their reality. Okay? So then we have the above 51 percenters. Again, going through some emotional states, going through some emotional clearing, but they are willing to change. Then you have people up here. Okay, this could probably be about the 75% or above. 75% or plus. They feel great. They know that whenever an emotion comes together, they're able to tackle it right away. They're going for like a nice brisk walk. And that's really all I'm looking at here are just people in terms of walking. We're not looking at sprinters here. There are sprinters, but that would be kind of like the 95% plus, right? This all just correlates to what I've talked about through the 4 stages of human spiritual evolution, right? But looking into the 75% plusers, they have emotions, absolutely. But hey, they take care of them. As soon as they pop up, they're already able to look at them and say, hey, I'm going to look at this. This is telling me something about myself. This person came into my life, maybe it wasn't such a pleasant experience, but I'm able to look at what they're saying, and I'm able to harmonize it. I'm able to look at that in myself, knowing that this is what I am telling myself to look at. So I gladly go into myself, I look into this emotion, I bring it into harmony. Okay? So those are the 75% plusers. So this is all just giving a particular example about the aspect of fourth density. Fourth density does not require any particular type of sophisticated dogma through yourself. It's not about you trying to maintain a very strong sexual energy peak, and that if you ejaculate, then you're screwed. Then you're not going to make it into fourth density. That's nothing more than an opinion religion. And I'm going to be talking about that very, very shortly. Because I've had people come up to me and say, well, there's these certain dogmas that people are throwing around saying that in order for you to move into the next dimension, you have to do this, you have to do that. Well, basically, Brad, what you would have to do is you have to take your tongue, put it on the tip of your nose, pat your head, rub your stomach, take the heel of your foot and rub it against your ass, and then start chanting, Maka Laka Hai, Maka Haini Ho. And you start doing that, you'll move into fourth density. That's basically the same kind of nonsense that a lot of these dogmas would represent. Rather than chanting Meka Leka Hai, Meka Hani Ho, right? We are noticing that this is truly the scale. Now, if you want to do that, and if that's uplifting you and moving you into a higher state of consciousness, go right ahead. But basically what happens is people will start to form these states of opinions, right? This becomes an opinion religion. And so looking at that ridiculous example is one idea of that opinion religion. But before I go into that, I'm just going to finish up the aspect of fourth density here. Moving us into this, well, I could say for the majority of us that would represent this 40 to 50%, we are the 51 percenters. And this is giving the idea that we are moving further into fourth density. But the tally up gates, the aspects of the threshold crossings, are all just basically telling us this is what we're holding on to through ourselves. And that as long as we're able to continue to progress through these tally up gates, right? So we hit this gate here, here's a full moon experience. And we basically move up to 51%. Okay, then we have a solar eclipse. Okay, that hits us hard a little bit. Maybe it's about 50%, but we're still going, right? And then we move on to the next threshold crossing, the next threshold crossing, the next tally up gate. And we're still going. We're still moving. As long as you are able to still move and still go, you'll progress into fourth density. That's all it takes. It just takes the ability for you to know that you're going through these emotional states. You're able to work with them. You cannot keep secrets from the universe. It is a mirror. So it is always going to reflect all of these angles of yourself. No matter what you try and bury, it looks deep inside you. It's going to take this out. It's attempting to show you this is where you're vulnerable. This is what you're holding on to. This is what's tying you to this emotional situation. Work with it. Help yourself to evolve, to develop yourself, to advance yourself further. But as long as you're still breathing air, as soon as you're still moving past these tally up points, and you're walking, and there's still some happiness coming into your life, and you're still feeling great about yourself, you're good. You're going to move into fourth density. No doubt about it. I could basically guarantee that for you. Okay? It's when you basically feel that you collapse. Bam! You get this hit of psychotic shock. You're just overwhelmed by these emotions. Everything's a nightmare. The world is falling apart in front of you. There's no hope for yourself. There's nothing you can do. It's when you are standing still, because you are at the mercy of these emotional states that you yourself have created. That's when those people stay with what they have created. They will become the third density crowd. Okay? So again, that's for people who want to manipulate others as well. They feel that it's all about greed, it's all about corporation, it's all about the material plane and being able to use people and manipulate people and do all that as well too. They're standing still because that's their power. They're so much in fear of letting that go that is what they remain with. That's what they stay with as they created it. Okay, so they themselves are also under the 50% crowd. Okay, this is all it takes for us to move into fourth density. Keep walking. Just keep walking. Don't feel that you need to stand still because these emotions are so overwhelming to you, that your mentality, your belief systems are so overwhelming to you that you can't move. Right? Keep walking. Give yourself that state of encouragement. My advice to everybody, start giving yourself daily compliments. Start feeding into the idea of how you are positively encouraging yourself on a daily basis. Create a gigantic plaque about affirmations, simple sentences about what you love about yourself, about your strengths. Look into the idea of bringing that positive reinforcement into yourself. That's all you have to do. And I get well, Brad, but I did this, or Brad, I did that, or I did this other thing. How can I possibly forgive myself if I do this, or if I do that? You have to work upon yourself in that way. All right, this is something that I can help people with through light circuitry, attunements, etc. But I'm basically just functioning as a guide. This needs to be resolved entirely through you. So you have to have that strength. You need to put that big plaque on your wall and saying, these are my strengths. This is what I'm able to do. I'm able to bring my love vibration into such a high level. And I am going to work to transmute these stagnant emotions that are trying to keep me still. And I'm going to work on them. And I'm going to transmute them and put them into love. That's it. This is all you have to do to move into fourth density. This is again why there's such more of a larger percentage than even I particularly depicted about people moving from one density to another. It's going to be a large amount of people. So that was something that I was very, very relieved to hear, because I thought that this was going to be, maybe 10, 15% of the population that's going to start moving into fourth density. No, it's going to be about 40, 50%, maybe even higher than that. So we'll probably have at least 3.5 billion people moving forward into fourth density. Simply because, again, of this example. Right? So continue to work with those emotions. Continue to look through these tally-up gates, these threshold crossings, and realize that they're just unpeeling the onion, right? And you're being able to look at all of these different forms of, peeling the onion. Peeling the onion and looking into all of these different forms of emotions that are now being brought out to you into your awareness. Emotions are just a defense mechanism. They're a defense mechanism that has been created, preventing yourself from looking at the bigger picture because you were not ready at the time to look at the big picture. Now you're ready to look at the big picture. Work on your emotional self. Give time for yourself. Stop feeling you're letting other people down by following your own heart, following who you truly are. They're not in your life, in your shoes. They're not in this body. They're not living this life for you, right? That's one of the biggest things I get. If I do this, I feel I'm letting this person down. Not your problem. Not your problem at all. My parents are going to be so disappointed in me if I go this path. Who cares? Right? The whole idea is that you have to look into the idea that this is your life. These are your feet. This is your body. This is your mind. This is your soul. You are progressing. Right? It always feels bad because we feel we're letting other people down. You're not letting other people down. There is nobody else here. You're the only one here. They are feeling that they are being let down because they are so dependent upon others to see the success that they couldn't grasp. And they try to live through you for that state of success or that state of dependency that they are not able to align within themselves. And so they grow an attachment onto you. It's like an entity attachment, right? And so this is where you feel dragged down and saying, but if I do this, if I start walking this path, if I start going on this journey, I'm going to let so many people down. No, you're not letting other people down. You're basically telling them, look at what they have created based upon the state of applying a dependency upon a person because they could not see this success within themselves, because they have to administer a state of control. You're simply breaking and shattering that state of control and saying, don't put a leash on me, right? Don't feel that you guys are up here and I'm all the way down here, or that you guys are down here, or that I'm all the way up here, right? It's about an equal plateau. And that's basically the same thing, is saying to these people, don't put a leash on me. Don't feel that you have to be dependent upon me. Don't feel that I'm your savior, or that I have to live all of the state of success that you couldn't, right? Shatter all of that. Let that go. Work upon yourself and keep moving as you, again, go through this progression into fourth density. And many of us, again, are going to cross that threshold. So it's not as minute as we originally thought. Now moving on to opinion religion. So I'm going to take a moment to erase this all. So I hope that was the best non-esoteric way I could describe through analogy about what's going on. But it is very much on par with what I've talked about before as it relates to the 4 levels of human spiritual evolution. And that's really the true map. That's the map about where we're going in fourth density. As long as you keep walking, you will progress into fourth density. That's all it takes. Keep walking. Okay? So opinion religions. So as I was talking about, there will be people who will start throwing these opinions as if they are the gospel. Okay? We see it everywhere. See it all over the place. We see it with flat earthers. We see it with 9/11 didn't have airplanes hitting the towers. We have it everything in regards to people's opinion. Opinion attempts to be the gospel here. These opinions, in that sense, are all part of a scattering effect. This is actually a smear campaign that's actually happening all across the world, right? We have opinions, and they scatter people. And then people start to look at these opinions and say, well, this opinion is pretty well put together. There must be something here. Maybe we're doomed. Maybe this will happen if we don't get a hold of ourselves and do this, and then I need to shove this down people's throats, etc., etc. These are all just religions. That's basically the whole idea. Like everything that I share on this channel is meant to be shared, because I will never ever shove any of this stuff down any of your throats. That's not my job, and I would not do something like that. It's the whole idea that you have your own unique truth. I share my perspective here, and you are free to accept something or reject something, because it's your life. It's your own growth that you are developing here. But basically, when we see people who have such harsh opinions that they have to try and shove it down your throat and say, this is how it has to be, you can't ejaculate anymore, because if you don't, your light body is going to burn up and you're not going to go into fourth density. What the hell are you talking about? Right? But again, people like to have this state of the power of opinion. Opinions have now become power. That's it. Why? Because we're such an opinionated society. And if you follow the trend of opinions, you have power. If you feel that you have to really become very hostile about throwing all of these opinions at people, you got power on yourself. You feel powerful. Oh, look at these people. I start putting all this and forcing information out, and people are just, sucking at my teeth through the power that I'm getting, because, I'm getting this huge boost. I'm going on this power trip because of these enforcing opinions that I put upon people. And this is an opinion religion. So we have the idea of flat earth. We have the idea of 9/11 stuff. We have the idea of God knows what else. I'm pretty sure I can name 1,000 things. But these all again relate to the aspects of opinion religions. That we throw some particular type of solid aspect into our opinion, and we want people to follow it. And we want to say, hey, this is how it has to be. You need to, to stamp this on your forehead and saying this is the way it has to be, and go tell others that they're full of crap, because this is the way it has to be, and it can't be any other way. This is what you have to do. It must be done. What is your problem, dude? Why are you feeling that you need to shove this down people's throats in regards to your opinion? Like the world's going to explode if you don't get this information out. No. Even with my information, even with the sharing of what I've done, It's not about feeling that I need to get all 7 billion plus people to be aware of this information, otherwise the world's going to blow up. That is not my mentality at all. I share this out of love. It's never about the, hey, Adronis is real, you guys better think he's real, I'm going to punch you through the screen, or something like that. No, right? This is all the aspect of an opinion religion, and this is all part of a smear campaign that is attempting to divide humanity further. Nope, this was right. No, this is right. No, you're wrong. Hey, you're an idiot. Oh, if you don't believe me in this way, hey, you're a fool. You're doing this wrong, etc. Divide, right? People want to throw all of that opinion because they all want to be this state of self-experts. But an expert itself is not attempting to shove something down your throat to say that this must be the gospel. But because we have come into the era of opinion, this is actually what's causing us to become smaller, in the idea that we are confining ourselves with these rigid aspects of opinionated beliefs, opinion religions, and we encapsulate inside our box and making ourselves 6 inches tall because we have to feel, well, this person said that. This person said that this is how it is, and that we have to really force people to believe in this. Well, look at what you're becoming. It's no more different than looking at a religion. It's no more different than looking at how you are recruiting people into a type of religion. That is not what this is about. We are not here to allow opinions to go into such an overage where there needs to be religions facultied around them. And that's basically just creating more division. So what is being said here? Don't worry so much about other people's opinions. That's the important part. Value your own truth. Look into who you are. Look into what makes sense to you. Rather than feeling, I don't know where to turn. Hey, this guy sounds pretty good. It's like going into a shopping market and taking things off the shelf and saying, this is a little good. I have no idea what it is, but it looks good. I'll go ahead and throw it in my cart. So be very mindful about putting so much of your power towards other people's opinions that are trying to shove this energy down your throat, shove this belief system down your throat. Again, people will have opinions about how to go into fourth density. People have opinions of saying that your DNA needs to be calibrated a certain way, that you have to do, otherwise you won't cross the barrier. People will say that tomorrow's doomsday, and you better get all of these acts together, otherwise you're not going to make it. Opinion religion, opinion religion, opinion religion, right? All of these different forms of enforcements that are, again, just like that clergyman on the podium saying, thou shall do thy happy dance, and say Mekalaka hi, Mekahani ho, or thou shalt not ascend, and thou be cast into hell. And it's the exact same thing. It's the idea of everything that has been created through these smear campaigns, through the aspect of people still attempting to grasp onto power. And because they have that power, because so many eyes are focused on them, they are siphoning all of your energy into themselves and saying, this is a great feeling, this is great, I feel so powerful, because people are just really starting to buy in to my enforcing opinion that's just like a punch in the face, and they're going to do what I say, right? So be on the lookout for these aspects of opinion religions, and just say, no thank you. I'm unsubscribing for this, because what feels correct in my heart is the way for me to live. It's not about the idea of saying that are we living on a round earth? Are we living on a flat earth? Who gives a crap, right? What matters is that you are the one that is determining your own truth and walking that truth upon your path, right? So rather than having all of these aspects of distractions created through opinion religions, work upon yourself. Look into the nature of your own truth. What rings true to you? And start walking that particular path, making that who you are, right? So this is something to watch out for. Opinions are power, right? Especially when you go on the internet, everybody wants to throw their opinion around. Everybody wants to think that they're right. Everybody thinks that if you don't follow exactly what they're going to say, my God, then we're going to create a new religion and we're just going to shout and flame at you and torment you because you do not follow a person's opinion. Opinions do not matter, okay? Basically how I've looked at it in the way of opinions is that I look into a certain state of intrinsic value. So if a person has a very strong opinion about what they would consider to be moving into another density or feeling that you're doing a lot of your inner work, I look into that person, I scan that person, I say, has this person been doing a lot of inner work themselves? No, they're just throwing this stuff around. Yeah. That's what I would say to their opinion, right? It's all about being able to look at yourself and say where you are in regards to the value of your own truth. And if that aspect of another truth tries to come together and it's not on the same plateau of yours, dismiss it. Don't worry about so much about the idea of saying, yeah, well, maybe this person's right, when they haven't been through the type of work that you've done. They have not lived the type of life that you have lived. You hold a certain value as it pertains to your truth. If people are not feeling that they're just, throwing all this stuff up for lip service in that way, then look into that and say, no, I'm not going to subscribe to that aspect of opinion. This person can hoot and holler all they want, but I'm not buying into their own fluff as it relates to what they would consider to be truth, because it is not parallel with my own. So I dismiss that opinion. When you have an empowered person like that, then what you have now is wholeness. You have a state of oneness coming back together. But everybody wants to throw their opinions around. Why? Because they want to be heard. They want to feel that their opinions matter. They want to feel that they have to try and control something in that way, right? But when that person has such a much more higher value of themselves, they don't throw opinions around so much anymore. It's the idea that they are sharing rather than forcing an opinion religion upon yourself, right? So look into the aspect about what sharing does, about just giving the state of assistance, giving the state of guidance, rather than saying, this is my opinion religion and you better accept it, right? So this has been a very heavy fragmentation that has been happening all across the world with people with their own opinions and feeling that they just need to shout out. A lot of these people just want to vent. They just want to throw their opinions and they want to create something out of their mind and vent about this opinion, and now it becomes a religion, right? So be mindful of that. This, again, is something that happens a lot. And so, again, stand in your own power, stand in your own truth, work towards that truth that you hold, rather than feeling you need to be skewed based upon another person's belief or opinion that is not in harmony with your own. Okay? Thank you so much for watching this video. Any other questions on this video or any other videos on my channel, feel free to go to realitywhisperer.com, where there's also private sessions, digital courses, free media, and a lot more. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you again in another perspective of the now. Take care. Namaste.